Urvashi, a very, very warm welcome to Just Like That.
Thank you, Sahil. I'm excited to join you on this Just Like That, the talk show.
Wonderful. Absolutely. Wonderful, wonderful. In fact, I want to take you back to the days when I was in HR college. And this was very, very long ago when I walked into college one day and I had this habit that whenever I would go to college, I would go slightly early and spend the first 15, 20 minutes just reading the headlines. And I vividly remember way back in 2004, the Economic Times had it up front, right up there on the newspaper to say, Mumbai gets its first woman chief commissioner of income tax. And that was such a nice moment because at that point of time, Dr. Indu Shahani was the principal of HR college and I used to work very closely with her. And I said, wow, this is another story. And from then to now, never really had a chance to, congratulate you back then or interact with you. But I'm so happy that you've accepted our invitation to be on Just Like That.
Thank you. Thank you. It's my pleasure.
So would you like to tell us a little bit about your journey from, कहते हैं ना वो पुराने ज़माने के jailer, so पुराने ज़माने के 1968 batch of IRS, from then to now, leading the largest, most important position, making so much of a difference. We love to know more.
Thank you, Sahil. As you mentioned, Purane Zamane mein going down memory lane. So 1967 was the year I finished my MA from Allahabad University, which is supposed to be the cradle for all bureaucrats. I mean, the ultimate aim of everyone in the Allahabad University is to join the civil services. Right. And so, of course, with me, my other classmates would always say that civil services or the government services are meant for mediocres. If you really want to achieve something, you don't have to be, you should be. So some of them are important jurists. One of them was a Supreme Court judge. Others is a very famous writer. So many of them who did not approve of my joining the services because they said that was a very bourgeois thing to do. But anyway, I ended up with the civil services and in the Indian Revenue Service, joined in 1967 exam and 1968 I joined at Mussoorie. We have the Lal Bahadur Shastri National Academy of Administration. We have a foundation course over there for all the services, which was for about 4.5 months. We trained there. And then I went to Nagpur, where we have the National Academy of Direct Taxes. For 1 year, we were trained there. And then I had my first posting. In those days, we joined as income tax officers. Now we join as assistant commissioners of income tax. So I joined as an ITO in Kanpur. And again, I was the only lady officer, or the first lady officer in whole of UP at that time, Uttar Pradesh, to have joined at that time. And well, from there, I went on to Lucknow and came to Mumbai in 1982. And I was in Mumbai and Pune, Thane, all these places. Most of my career I have spent here and in Delhi for 2-3 years. But most of it, as I said, Mumbai, Thane and Pune. I've been in this zone. Yeah.
Correct. And even the income tax. Yeah, sorry, please go ahead.
No, I'm saying it's been a fairly satisfying and exciting journey so far. I've really thoroughly enjoyed my stay in the department. I have no complaints whatsoever. No complaints.
Correct. So the department obviously primarily be dominated by men, and you paving your way through, as you said, from Kanpur, going to Nagpur, going to various cities, and then Mumbai. So how has the journey been? Were there any challenges that you faced? Was it difficult? Was it like just anybody else? Were you treated or looked at differently?
I would come to that. Yes. Although people would think that being a lady in a predominantly male-dominated setup or department, I would have faced challenges. But on the contrary, I would say if at all, I had a bias. I mean, I was treated more fairly than the others. Like, for instance, I would say in Kanpur, when I first went for the for a search duty, which in common parlance you call a raid.
Raid, Hanji.
So when I first, within a few days of my joining, I was treated very, very nicely by the group leader who was leading, and I was allowed to go home after 3-4 hours. And normally the raids go on for days together, but they said, no, since you're a lady, you are not allowed to stay. You please go home. And I was escorted back home in the staff car, which in those days. And even otherwise, when my children were born, my bosses were very kind to me. They said, you have full permission to come to office whenever you like. You can leave whenever you like. So that kind of, privileges I was given, being the only lady of, as I said. So I was more or less more pampered. And my other colleagues would, in fact, sometimes joke about it, that you are the favorite.
But was it got to do with you being a lady, or was it got to do with your competence? Because you were so good at what you did.
No, well, I can't say that, but the very fact that when your boss tells you that you have the fluidity or the flexibility, you're not going to misuse it. So,
correct.
I mean, the fact that they told me that I could do it, because having a small baby at home, I mean, if my boss was sensitive enough to realize that I may need to go there, and he has given me a blanket permission to go home, and the home was incidentally close by. So he told me, instead of coming and asking me each time, you can leave, because I know you're not, I mean, so I never misused that kind of liberty which was given to me. So,
right.
And Mumbai also, I did not face any gender biases or any, although I'm a great advocate of gender equality and gender sensitization and things like that. But surprisingly, or I would say thankfully, I mean, in our department, at least I have not faced any kind of prejudice against, be it in postings, be it in treatment, others. Like, again, I mean, I would like to tell, in Mumbai, way back in 1985, I was the first lady officer to be made in charge of raids. In the whole of the country, I was the first lady DDI. In those days, we were called the Deputy Director of Investigation, in charge of raids. And I continued in that post for about 4 years. And so, which again was a first, but I did not face any, people would say that, because as in charge of raids, there were times when I didn't go home for 2 days, 3 days. I was in the control room. So that was a challenge. It was challenging, but at the same time exciting. So after that, of course, many more ladies were posted, but that was the first time I was in charge of raids, whole
Correct.
of Mumbai.
And every time you were entrusted with these responsibilities, how did it make you feel? What did it do to you as a person? Did it add some weight? Did it make you feel burdened, or did it give you a sense of empowerment?
Well, I would say it gave me a sense of empowerment, and I did feel good, because you see, when they first decided on posting me as for the investigation wing, as with the raids wing. So I remember the member investigation who had come down from Delhi, and the local chief commissioner. That time they first called me to their room, and they asked me, "How old are your children?" My children had grown up by that time. They were still in school, but they were grown up enough, and I had help at home, in the sense my father-in-law was staying with us. So he says, "Will you be able to leave your children?" I was wondering why they're asking me. So then they said, "We want you to take up this post. Would you like to take it up?" I told them, "Sir, if you think that I'm fit enough or competent enough, that I have, because I've never requested for a posting here. I've never declined a posting on the grounds of being a lady." So, right. And this was one of the things which my boss, when I was transferred from Lucknow to Mumbai, the one thing he said in my farewell speech was that she never took advantage of the fact that she was a lady, and never pleaded for a softer treatment or a softer this thing. So I told them, "Sir, if you think I'm competent enough, I'm okay with that. And because I've never declined a post, or never lobbied for a post or asked for a posting."
Correct. That's how. Correct. Yeah, I want to share something very interesting with you. Yesterday, I was at an event with Shamsher Singh, and Shamsher Singh is the Commissioner of Police, the current Commissioner of Police of Vadodara, like they call it, right? And he was telling me a very interesting incident that when he was growing up, he was really in awe and really enjoyed being on social media. And now being the Commissioner of Police, what he has been doing is he's been very closely, he's done his PhD in organizational behavior. And he's been trying to see how does he bridge this gap of trust between the police and the public. Because the police somewhere don't trust the public doesn't trust the police. And there's that huge gap because of lack of transparency and lack of information. And he does every update on social media so people get to know what the police is doing, which I found very fascinating. And in the income tax space, right, the whole department has evolved over the years, be it through leveraging technology, be it through the focus on being connected with the taxpayers. We've seen a lot of changes happening there with great amount of transparency. You want to tell us a little bit about the kind of work that you've done when you were at the helm and some of the early changes that you brought in much before its time? We would love to know a little bit more. I know you're very humble and you may not want to talk about the work that you've done, but we would love to know.
No, definitely transparency has been my guiding force. I mean, I always believe that being in the government, we should not hide behind saying that these are the things which we should, the public we should, and being a service department, being in charge, being so closely connected to the public. And as we all know, the tax department is universally not liked by most people, because when as somebody would say that nobody likes the pickpockets, your pockets to be pinched. And there was a time when we joined the department, the tax rates were as high as 97% during such time. So that gave rise to a lot of distrust and a lot of tax avoidance or tax evasion. People would try to, because nobody would like to pay. But, you know, as you rightly said, the department has evolved when the tax rates were rationalized. We were always advocating that if we bring down the tax rates to a reasonable level, avoidance will automatically go down and the compliance will go up. People don't like per se to hide their taxes, their incomes, and they would like to pay the taxes provided they are reasonable. So rationalizing the tax structure, the tax rates has gone a long way. And most of our finance ministers in the past, or the government, has brought it down now to the corporate tax is 25% effectively, which is one of the lowest in the whole world. And even our personal taxation is 30%. So people now, we can see that people are trusting the department. And last year we had this very famous scheme, which itself speaks for it. It says, Vivad se Vishwas tak. So instead of, you know, if you have a tax dispute, you could come forward and declare your income, and government is going to take a view that they will sort of the interest and the penalties and all will be waived. And so Vishwas means that you trust us. So instead of Vivad, what the disputes, and so it's a long way. We have come a long way, as I said. The distrust, the initial distrust of, you know, being the tax department was being looked at as robbers. We have come down from there to that we are doing something good for the society, for the government as a whole. Because if we don't get taxes now, and as I used to talk to the younger lot, you see the younger business scales of families, the younger lot were always in favor of paying taxes, but they said our grandfather is of the old school, so he still believes that it's better to saltao the case than to fight it out legally.
So true, so true.
That mindset has to change from both sides. The mindset.
No, correct. And you know, while you have been referring to the current tagline and the current work that's happening and being very, very humble about not talking of all the good work that you have done, let me take this opportunity to remind you that during your tenure, the whole Saral form was introduced. And I think simplifying the complex of what the world felt was the income tax department is so complicated. इतने सारे form हैं, ये है, वो है. During your tenure, madam, you actually simplified the complex. So I'd love for you to talk about that as well, because I know you're very humble and you don't want to talk about your own achievements, but we would love to hear.
No, that simplification was not only my work. That was done at the government level. But yes, at the executing level, we tried to simplify things. As I said, the Income Tax Act, as we all know, is one of the most complicated laws. And to administer that law is equally challenging, because there are so many interpretations, so many loopholes, so many things which gives rise to so much of litigation. But at the same time, we try to simplify it for a layman, for the layperson to understand. And I'm happy that, as you rightly mentioned, that thanks to technology, now things are very easy for people. They can file their own returns, because earlier even I could not file my own return. I used to find it that forms were so complex that I had to take the help of a chartered accountant or an advocate to file my own returns. Now, of course, everything is, and as you said, the touch of a button. And I'm told, everyone says that even I get my refunds are given, they are credited to your account without your making umpteen trips to the income tax department and begging them to issue the refunds. So all that has helped. And now with the new faceless, last year it has been introduced.
Assessments, correct.
Assessments. So there will be no direct contact between the assessing officer and the assessee or the assessee. So that will further enhance tax compliance and will remove whatever roadblocks were there. And I'm sure people would take advantage of this and declare their true incomes and pay their due taxes.
Right.
Because when trust begets trust. So if the income tax department is trusting you, so we expect that they will not misuse that trust. They will pay their taxes. This is the problem.
Yeah. So at the cost of being slightly provocative, has the life of some income tax officers become more difficult now?
What
they used to really enjoy earlier may not really enjoy as much now, with a lot of faceless assessments happening?
Yes, maybe the so-called power equation or so-called importance may have gone down, but I don't know. I mean, I retired long back, so I wouldn't either.
On that lovely laughter note, thank you so much, Urvashi, for joining us. And just like that, may you remain evergreen, and all the great work that you've done as a legacy, may it continue, and may the country and the department keep moving from strength to strength. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sahil.